Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Council Chambers on this beautiful March 23rd day. If you've been outside and have a chance to walk around, it's fairly warm in the sun and it's cool in the shade. I guess that's why sometimes the future's so bright you have to wear shades so you don't get burnt. I am funny, is that? All right, members of council, there is the agenda before you. Deputy Mayor for the motion, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'll move that Town Council adopt the March 23rd, 2026 regular council meeting agenda as presented.
Okay, thank you. Administration, anything to add to the agenda tonight?
Thank you, Your Worship. Nothing to add.
Okay, call the question. All in favor? That is carried. Moving along for our agenda, number 3 is the public input session. So this is the time we allow residents to address council on things that's not on the current agenda. I believe we did have somebody scheduled. Administration, is that individual in tonight?
Thank you, through your worship. It does not appear they're in attendance this evening.
Okay, thank you. We'll reach out and then maybe we can get into the next public input session. Okay, moving on to number 4 of the agenda is presentations and delegations. And today we have one presentation and we're joined by St. John Paul II. Welcome, Mrs. Radke. There is a sign-up sheet there if you can just sign in and then...
Okay, I think they gave me the Coles notes, so I think I know what I'm doing. I can't sit, I have to stand when I'm talking, so I apologize if my back is to you. I know, it's
No
very
problem.
free of me. I am a grade 6 teacher at St. John Paul II. My name's Linda Radke. I've been there for, I think it's 14 years. I don't know, whenever you approve South Creek, that's when I moved here and that's when I started at John Paul II. So whenever that was. I have been in grade 2. I've been now in grade 6 for 9 years. We've had this curriculum since the 90s. It is changing next year, however, the local government section is not changing. So we study the whole year with 11 and 12-year-olds. We study democracy. What is it? What does it mean? And really try to hammer home the idea of involvement, and that as young people, it's important that they get involved in government, they get involved in their community, and they be active in those things. So that's where you guys come in terms of me. Uh-oh, how do I move it forward? Oh, they use the arrow. Oh, there we go. I use my mouse all the time. So this is the outcome, sort of as it's stated in the old curriculum, analyzing the structure and function of local governments in Alberta, reflecting on the following questions. So we look at how the representatives are chosen. So what does the election look like? Unfortunately, we were on strike this year during the election. We were supposed to be a student vote center. I've done it the last 6 years. Unfortunately, we didn't get to do that this year, but we talk about it all the time. What are your jobs? What do you do? When you show up in public, what are the things that we can expect of representatives for our local government? And today we started talking a little bit about what questions are you going to ask your counselors? And of course, the first thing they want to know is, what's your favorite food? Do you have a dog? They have all sorts of fun questions because they're 11. And then we really started to get down to well, your parents are citizens. You're citizens, but not legally yet. And so what do we need? What do we need more of? What is really great about our community? And we started to really brainstorm that process. They had some really good ideas, like more trees, and we should put things on the boulevards. And they came up with some pretty interesting questions. So I'm looking forward to what they come up with for you this year. And then we talk about how it looks different here versus Parkland County versus Spruce Grove, which is really interesting in our area because we have all three that are so similar but yet so different and have to work together. So that really we're really lucky in that way. Coming from a city and learning and teaching in a city to a more rural area has been really insightful to what looks different for them. So yeah, our underlying principles are to teach democracy as an inclusive process and making sure that citizens are actively involved, and this is my key. If you don't do anything, if you don't say anything, you have no one to blame. You have no one to look at but yourself. So teaching them to be actively involved is always my my outcome that I want to get. So I steal your picture off the website every year. My apologies, goes in their handout. I update it every year with your pictures. We complete this project, we start by brainstorming questions, we kind of generate a big wall of questions, and then they pick what they want to know. They do read your bios online, and I make them go through all of those. They Google you, but they can't go on Facebook or anything because they're not 13 yet, and we have great firewalls, so they can't get on it. But they do check those things out, and they recognize some of you from soccer. One of you is a soccer coach. You know, one of the Justins was a soccer coach. I hear about that every year. And they look to your faces, and of course they recognize Ava. And then they have to create a presentation, each group, and teach us about you, and teach each other about who our council is and what they do. And so my ask of you is just, can you be available for their questions? To be able to reply to their email. Part of their mark is forming that email, so I'll assess them on how they write it, the type of questions, and all that fun language art stuff. And then they create the presentation, which I mark as a social studies mark, and how they speak is the other part of the mark. So yeah, it's a lot of interesting. They're a great group of kids this year, so I'm really looking forward to it. We do have 3 classes, so each class, so at most you're going to get 3 emails. We try to narrow it down so there's only one person covering each person, one group covering each of you. So you'll only get 3 emails. So I just need to know where to send it. Is it best to go through the website, or, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at.
Well, thank you for your presentation, and thank you for engaging us. And I think you're a perfect example of demonstrating through action to your children and your students of if you want them to get engaged and active and involved, and here you are active and involved, making sure that we're aware of that. Yes. So I think the best way to get to us is definitely through the website. That comes directly to each and every counselor, comes through, and then we'll definitely do our best to answer the questions in a timely manner. And if you can give us deadlines too, that's good too.
Perfect. So we're not going to do it till after spring break. So all 3 will be in April at some point. My other 2 partner teachers are new to grade 6, so I'm a little bit ahead of them in terms of the curriculum. But it will be in April at some point. Mine probably closer to the beginning, and theirs a little bit closer to the end. But yeah, you can expect to hear from them. So, and I always have them introduce themselves first. We kind of go over how you send a business letter. So.
Great. Okay, thank you. And anything else you require of us?
I don't think so. I will send you the invite. Mayor Choi's been awesome and come out the last few years to talk to the kids, so they really look forward to that. So we'll have that out. Hopefully you can make it again this year.
Yes. Yes, if it fits my time schedule, I'm definitely there for the students and the children in our community.
So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. Anybody have any questions for clarity and understanding? Okay. Deputy Mayor, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship, and thank you for the presentation. I will just remind, occasionally when we get emails through the website, they do go into our spam box. I'm not sure why. We've talked with IT about it before. Just so council's aware, please make sure you're checking in there. But this is a fantastic process. I've been fortunate to be invited to some of the schools before. I've even been contacted by students who had contacted me previously. The most recent was a student who wanted to know if they could fish in the storm pond in town. So it's pretty cool. It's a great experience to get engaged with the youth in the community, and it's awesome when they reach out for it. So I hope the presentations say good things. I don't know, I've never actually seen the presentation part of it, so cross our fingers.
Okay, thank you for that information. Any other questions for clarity and understanding? Just general comment? Okay, Councillor Meyer, and then we'll go to Councillor Anderson after.
Thank you, Mrs. Radke, for coming in. Appreciate your presentation. I just want to do the fun facts. Having gone to John Paul II and having my daughter go there, some of the material seems familiar, so I remember her going through the same, and that's for a while there. There was a lot of kids at John Paul II that thought I was the mayor of Stony Plain, and so it was good to have an opportunity to clarify all of those things. But Mr. Murdoch's still the principal there?
Sean was transferred to Devon, so he is at Holy Spirit in Devon right now.
Okay, wonderful. Well, I still look forward to an opportunity to sort of reach back to my old school.
That'd be awesome. We look forward to hearing it.
And if I can suggest any brainstorms, if you, I would love to be able to share how my faith influences my governance. So maybe, I'm not sure if that's, but as the Catholic here in Catholic school, I'd love to volunteer that.
That would be awesome. I'll make sure I suggest that to your group. That'd be great.
Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Meyer. Councillor Anderson?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you for being here. I also get to teach grade 6, and so we do similar types of projects, which is great, but if you want to be a real star in your classroom, this is live streamed and then recorded, and so if you play this for them tomorrow...
Well, they know I'm here.
They might be watching, actually. Do you want to say hi to your students?
Right.
And,
Oh, no, I'll never live with
there you go. No, we've been fortunate to have been a part of this. Whether it was students I've known or whether it's friends' kids or whatever that might be, to participate in this over the years. And I think to Councillor Laurie's point, ignorance is bliss in the sense that we don't know what they say. When my class asked me, they found my campaign picture, and one of my students now has it as the background of their computer. And so ignorance is bliss that way, but no, we're thrilled to help out, and we're thrilled to connect with youth, and as has sort of been mentioned, it opens a door for students beyond a grade 6 project to connect with us on future things, and that's really important. And so appreciate you being here and sharing with us, and we look forward to hearing from them in April.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Councillor Niebergall?
Thank you, Worship. Through you to Linda, thank you so much for coming in. And of course, overwhelming yes. Anytime that we can bust down the walls of a traditional school and get kids learning outside of there, I am all for that. So I look forward to the 3 groups or however many you have. Send them. There's no limit. I look forward to participating in this.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Any other comments, questions for clarity? Okay. See none. Thank you for your time here today, and definitely looking forward to engaging those students.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Have a good night.
Yeah, have a good night. All right. That ends our presentations for tonight. So moving on to number 5 is statutory public hearings. We have nothing scheduled tonight, so moving on to number 6, which is the adoption of the regular council meeting from March 9th. Councillor Anderson?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll make the motion this evening that Town Council approve the March 9th, 2026 regular council meeting minutes as presented.
Okay. Thank you. Members of council, you have the opportunity to review them. Any errors, omissions, or questions for clarity and understanding on those minutes? Councillor Meyer, go ahead.
So actually not questions for clarity but just a statement. I did get an opportunity to watch the video just to get myself up to speed on the meeting that I missed there. And let me just say, you guys all looked fantastic and asked wonderful questions. Impressive. Anyhow, just that.
Thank you. Appreciate it. And yes, and sometimes, as we know, being on council is a part-time job, and we have to juggle, and sometimes we're not able to attend all the meetings. So the opportunity to talk to our colleagues, and then to also watch the YouTube recording gives us a lot of information and understanding of what happened. Okay, anything else? Any questions, comments, and debate on that? See none. I'll call the question. All in favor? Okay, and that is carried. Okay, moving on to number 7, which is council boards and committee minutes. So we have 3 tonight, which is the Growth and Commerce from December 17th, the Culture and Tourism Roundtable from January 14th, and also the Community Social Development from February 4th. Councillor Loynes, please.
Town Council received the council board and committee minutes for information.
Okay, thank you. Members of council, you have the opportunity to read all 3 minutes. Any questions and comments for the council appointees or representatives? Okay, see none, I will ask one. To number 7.2, the Culture and Tourism Roundtable appointee, which I believe is Councillor Loynes. So on the 14th, through the minutes there was a mention of a new branding and marketing and also promotions and communications strategy. Can you just provide a little update on that? I just haven't seen that come through yet.
Unfortunately, I was not able to attend that meeting as we were doing some strat plan prep, but Councillor Niebergall was able to attend the last meeting on my behalf. I can ask her if maybe they brought it up, but I have not heard anything otherwise.
Okay, Councilor Niebergall?
Yep, I can speak to that briefly. So I believe it's kind of two-part. There's some work that's being done by Chantel in terms of branding on the town's end, but from the roundtable, it is about how do they represent themselves when they're out? How do they identify themselves? And they talked about, you know, lanyards or T-shirts or name tags. Should they have brochures? Should they have QR codes on business cards? So just, it's about getting their name out. Well, also, actually, I should note, Chantel mentioned that once some work has been kind of finalized on the town's end, there'll be like a training session, so you can kind of speak as an ambassador for culture and tourism. And so then it was a lot of discussion around how much should be said, in what capacity do they represent the organization or the board in a sense. And so it's just some discussions in terms of what should be shared, how should it be shared, how should they be identified, what events should they be attending. So that's still in discussions.
Thank you for the update. Okay, any more questions for clear understanding? Councillor Anderson, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On those same minutes, actually, and I don't know why I didn't catch this the first time through, but the Blueberry Music Festival, I understand, had a pretty big announcement in, I believe, December, that they were looking to adjust their programming, move away from the Blueberry stage at Heritage Park. And it is indicated here that there was an announcement from the Blueberry Music Festival. And so through you, Mr. Mayor, to the representative, or the alternate who it sounds like attended this particular meeting. Just wondering if we can have a bit of an update. Was there any additional information shared as to why potentially we're losing that festival in our area?
Yeah, thank you. I'll just, instead of going over to the representative, I'll go over to Deputy Mayor Laurie. Deputy Mayor Laurie and Councillor Loyens and myself had an opportunity to sit down with Anne Somerville, Executive Director, and I think that was sent out a couple weeks ago, but if you can provide that update, please.
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. As you mentioned, we had the opportunity to sit down with Ms. Somerville to discuss the big announcement from Blueberry Bluegrass about there not being a Bluegrass Festival this year. When we did sit down to speak with Ms. Somerville, she was incredibly complimentary of the town, both the facility and the staff that she had the opportunity to work with. Unfortunately, what has happened is the festival itself has gotten very large, and their group is looking for opportunities to move on, and they don't have anybody willing to step in succession. So they are taking this year to sort of circle the wagons a little bit and understand what they may be able to do in the future. We talked about opportunities for smaller pop-up events for Blueberry Bluegrass to still be involved in the community as much as possible where it works within them and where they see fit. So I think Anna was going to continue to look to see if there was some opportunity for succession planning in there and if they could find some young blood and new volunteers to kind of take the charge and take the lead. But unfortunately, at the current point in time, it doesn't look like they have the capacity to run the full festival anymore from their end.
That's good for pointing out. Anything else, Councillor Anderson?
No, I do appreciate the update there, and just a point of clarity, Mr. Mayor. I'm aware. The public had some questions, though, and I was getting questions from the public, and with it being noted here, felt it was an appropriate time to have that information shared so that the public is able to have the same information that we do.
Yeah, and that is good. A lot of times people are not, there may be the information out there, but if they're not at that point to receive that information because they're busy, it kind of falls off the side, and it's good to bring it back every so often. Any more questions for clarity and understanding on these board minutes and committee minutes? Okay, see nothing, so I have one for 7.3, which is the Community and Social Development Roundtable of February 4th. Just trying to get some clarification here. I understand that through reading the minutes, there was a motion for a chair and a vice chair, so that was called forth through the elections. However, in the minutes at the beginning, it has the names different for chair and vice chair. Is there a reason for that? Did somebody change?
Thank you, Your Worship. For clarification, Crystal was the chair at the beginning of the meeting. As her term ended when this meeting came about, she was still the one who started it. She is now our vice chair, and Roxana is our chair now. They've just basically switched positions.
Okay, so previous chair became the vice chair and the vice chair became the chair.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you for that clarity. And any more questions for clear understanding? Do not see. That ends my questions as well, so I'll call the question. All those in favor? That is accepted. Thank you. Moving on to number 8, we have bylaws, and nothing scheduled tonight, so we'll move on to business items. We have 3, so the first one is 9.1, and is the strategic plan for 2026-2029. Go ahead, administration, when you're ready.
Thank you, Your Worship. Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm pleased to share for your consideration the 2026 to 2029 strategic plan. The plan reflects your guidance and direction, as well as input from residents and community partners. It also outlines the priorities to guide the town's decisions, investments, and actions over the coming years. Further, it provides the direction to which the organization will align our resources and efforts. Next slide. To begin, the strategic plan respectfully acknowledges and honors the fact that Stony Plain is situated on the traditional Indigenous land of the Treaty 6 peoples. Stony Plain continues to be a proud, flourishing, and welcoming community with years of consistent growth and now boasts a population of 20,000 people. This plan is an ongoing commitment to ensure all those who call Stony Plain home can be connected and have the opportunity to fulfill their potential. With that, Your Worship, I'll turn it over to our General Manager of Strategic Services to walk through further aspects of the plan.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Town Manager. The early stages of the strategic plan provides a letter to the community outlining Council's journey of community engagement and contribution to shape the plan's contents. During the fall of 2025, each member of Council dedicated time to connecting with and listening to residents and community stakeholders about their concerns, hopes, and needs for Stony Plain. Council members heard about public safety, the value of our local businesses and organizations, the need for recreational spaces, the opportunity for local jobs, concerns of affordability, the importance of taking care of our roads, sidewalks, and parks, and so much more. Following the municipal election in October 2025, Council came together as a new team and began work with town administration on what was heard from residents and how we can address it. From this early stage of work of Council, the strategic plan has taken shape. The strategic plan reflects what the community shared and what we know we need to do to move forward. So let's start together. In drafting the strategic plan, the objective was to reflect a new chapter in the story of Stony Plain. Building Stony Plain with continued intentional growth and meaningful connection are the overarching goals of the new strategic plan. Emphasizing the important role of togetherness, safety, infrastructure, spaces to gather and recreate for generations now and into the future. As we grow, we will demonstrate our dedication to community engagement and leadership. The town's strategic plan is guided by 4 areas of commitment that we believe are critical to a healthy and vibrant Stony Plain. These 4 commitments are civic responsibility, collaborative leadership, community building, and economic opportunity. Let's look at each area of commitment and see how we will move Stony Plain forward. Beginning with civic responsibility, this commitment is the duties in caring for our growing community and for our residents that call Stony Plain home, as well as our duties as public servants to do all we can to deliver high value with our services and infrastructure. The following are the important actions we will take to strengthen our civic responsibility. Reviewing and updating our long-term vision and strategic policy themes in the Municipal Development Plan, deepening our efforts to support inclusion and social cohesion, ensuring responsive public safety services and emergency preparedness, enhancing outdoor spaces with noted emphasis on the areas in Old Town South and the South Business Park, investing in and demonstrating municipal service excellence, and embracing fiscal responsibility, priority investment, and performance measurement. Next is our commitment to collaborative leadership and the value of leveraging our efforts with stakeholders and partners, as well as providing clarity and representing the opportunities and needs for Stony Plain. The following emphasizes what collaborative leadership looks like in action. Improving Stony Plain's priorities through strengthened regional partnership, continuing to provide open, accessible, and direct communication between council and residents, ensuring services and infrastructure such as healthcare, education, transit, and transportation corridors meet Stony Plain's needs through advocacy and partnership, championing Stony Plain's values and interests, involving youth as valued members of our community, and enhancing opportunities and relationships with local and regional First Nation, Métis, and Inuit peoples. Our third area of commitment is community building. This is all about the critical infrastructure that we will be planning, constructing, and maintaining to support the community now and into the future. The actions we will take enhance the connection between our infrastructure and quality of place, and they include accelerating the next phases of the recreation facility, strengthening our vibrant downtown through maintenance and development of town-owned properties, investing in municipal infrastructure, amenities, and facilities, providing safe and efficient vehicle and pedestrian corridors, conducting meaningful and relevant community engagement that informs infrastructure planning, construction, and maintenance, hosting events, programs, and public art to showcase, celebrate, and welcome residents to gather and connect, and encouraging innovative and diverse housing. The final commitment is to economic opportunity. This guides our efforts to ensure Stony Plain continues to have a healthy non-residential tax base, local employment opportunities, and a welcoming atmosphere for businesses, organizations, and visitors. The outlined actions reinforce our intention for constructing infrastructure to guide the redevelopment of Old Town South, supporting the momentum of commercial and industrial development, notably the areas adjacent to our provincial highway corridors, continuing targeted investment attraction, delivering business retention and expansion efforts in strengthening our existing business community, and providing marketing, events, and collaborative programs to elevate our community profile and draw people with interest to Stony Plain. Now that I've shared what the strategic plan will be focused on achieving, I want to touch on how the town will utilize the strategic plan. The strategic plan is situated in the town's planning hierarchy to support achieving the long-term vision of Stony Plain. The town's long-term vision resides within the municipal development plan. From the actions and commitments in the strategic plan, town administration will recommend to council in the fall of 2026 the corporate plan. The corporate plan will align budget and human resources for further implementation of the strategic plan in 2027 and beyond. As we move forward, administration will monitor and report to council and the public on the progress we make implementing the strategic plan. Council will also review the strategic plan annually to consider any adjustments to ensure it remains relevant and responsive to the current environment and needs of the community. Residents are invited and encouraged to stay connected and engaged with us as we move forward together. Before wrapping up, our next steps following council approval will be to communicate and share the strategic plan with the public and community stakeholders. Building awareness will occur throughout the year with ongoing messaging, dialogue, and promotion. It's also important to note that the Municipal Development Plan and Corporate Plan will be prepared and presented for council approval in the upcoming year. Both of these documents will impact and inform the strategic plan implementation. I want to thank your worship and members of council for your wisdom, time, and consideration in developing the strategic plan. I would also like to thank the fellow general managers and town manager for their guidance and support. At this time, we ask council to consider approval of the 2026 to 2029 strategic plan and would welcome any questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the presentation, and thank you for wrapping that up in a more succinct way than most of council does. Every so often, we seem to get together and we ramble, we bring everything to the table, and it's very nice to have managers that are capable of taking all those ideas and thoughts and kind of pulling them together into a plan that we can accomplish in the next 4 years. So definitely looking forward for the comments from members of council. Any questions for clear understanding from the presentation? Okay, Councilor Anderson, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you for the presentation this evening. Certainly echo Mayor Choi's comments about how nice it looks at seeing all the, or being a part of all the discussions and seeing it come together is great. Love the letter. I really appreciate how that came through in terms of a letter from council to the community. Do have a couple of questions, one specifically around economic opportunity. So this is page 41, looking at the economic opportunity key actions. And certainly we've heard from our community that there's some excitement around some new development in the North Business Park and conversation around 628, but that's often tempered with concern for how these new developments and investment attraction will impact current businesses. Do appreciate seeing, I believe it's bullet 4, business retention and expansion efforts. But it almost feels like it gets lost in there a little bit around the conversation around with investment attraction and so on. And so just wondering if we could have a little bit of insight into the inclusion into a bullet around investment attraction. I do know our ActDev team through council was able to hire a new position focused specific to business retention and expansion efforts, and almost feel like it could have been a standalone bullet. And so just looking for some clarity from admin on why that was included here with the investment attraction piece in the same bullet point.
Yep, go ahead, Administration.
Thank you, Your Worship, to Councillor Anderson and all of council. A couple of things that come to mind specifically. The work that we do right now in economic development between investment attraction and business development or business retention and expansion, up until probably maybe this year, has been very much a combined effort, very collaborative amongst the team members, but also very much collaborative internally with both our planning and development team members as well, organizationally. And so a lot of that work has really been, I would say, combined and cohesive. And I would say that probably as we are launching and establishing a more specific and intentional business retention and expansion program, there will be an evolution. I'm really heartened and excited. We just launched the business retention and expansion survey a couple of weeks ago, and last I'd heard we're already at well over 20 surveys completed, which I think our goal is 85. So we're well on our way to achieving that. So strong level of response and engagement from our existing business community, and I would say that speaks volumes to the level of existing relationships that we have with our business community. And so there's a real care and concern and understanding that we don't necessarily do investment attraction and business retention and expansion, and I'll use this horrible term of silos, but we don't do it in silos. We do it with very much consideration of, the work that existing businesses and investors and folks in the community can do to bring in new investment and businesses, and how those two things happen very connected. So I think the intentional nature of perhaps those combined as a single bullet point right now represents the currency of where we're at. How that evolves and what that looks like and where that goes in terms of the wording and placement within the strategic plan going forward, I think I would expect that will change over time. But I think at this juncture in time, it's a very relevant statement of where we are and some of our intentions going forward for the next couple of years.
Okay. Councilor Anderson?
Yeah, no, thank you. I'll reserve some comments there for the next part of our discussion here. Do have a second question, if I may, Mr. Mayor. And this is just flipping back and forth between the presentation and the strategic plan itself. Just as an example, page 38 within the strategic plan that's proposed, and then jumping over to a similar page 52 in terms of content. Really appreciate how some of the key ideas are bolded in the presentation. And certainly those were highlighted in the presentation this evening as that was shared with council. And I think it takes what can be at times a little bit of a wordy statement and really highlights the key ideas. Page 52, third bullet, public safety service levels are responsive. I think really lets the community know that that's a priority, but it's combined with some additional information there. So the question is just, was there consideration to using similar formatting within the strategic plan to make those key ideas sort of pop off the page for those that are just giving it a quick glance versus those that are taking the time to read it more in depth?
Okay, go ahead, Administration.
Through your worship to Councillor Anderson, hadn't thought about that necessarily till you raised that. Appreciate the perspective on that, and can certainly take that into consideration and think about how we can utilize that feedback with the document. So thank you.
Thank you.
Any more questions for clear understanding? Okay. Councilor Meyer, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship, and I'm not sure quite how to approach this one. Maybe I'll just start with, I don't necessarily think that we need to change anything in the document this evening or anything to that regard. But I'm just drawn to our land acknowledgement on page 33. And I think to some of the challenges that British Columbia is currently having in regards to Indigenous land claims. And so I would have a question, in my head, I think, from how I understand it, is BC winds up running into some issues because they didn't have treaties. And so I think this is wonderful. We have treaties, we have this land acknowledgement. I'm wondering if it can't serve a greater purpose, if we can't strengthen it and use it a little bit more in this document, because I want to, I guess the first question would be, would Stony Plain even have any concern in regards to Indigenous land claims that we would even have to address, for starters? But like I say, I think being part of the Treaty 6 protects us to a certain degree, and so I think it could be strengthened and utilized more. And I'm just wondering if administration has any thoughts on that.
Okay, Administration, in terms of the wording around the Treaty 6.
Your Worship, appreciate the question, and I can provide a bit of commentary and then maybe just pause to see if there's a follow-ups or whatever. But I think first thing that I guess I would comment on. So, the inclusion of the land acknowledgement within the strategic plan and in some of our other documents, I think, the intent certainly, in the past from council, and I would say certainly from the organization itself, is it's almost in the simplest perspective, in that I think what we have historically, and I would say historically meaning probably 5 to 10 years now, have wanted to at a very open and base level acknowledge that Indigenous peoples walked these lands for thousands of years before this ever became, lines on a map called the town of Stony Plain. And it's an acknowledgement that we need to walk a path forward together. And I would stop there as to the inclusion of those sorts of words in our strat plans and some of our other documents. And I think that's the basic intent. When it comes to land claims and so on, and I mean, going further down that conversation or dialogue, I think that's where, depending on the specifics, the topics at hand, at what way or shape the town would interpret or react to or act upon any legal claims or other matters related to, and I'll just say the legal framework as it pertains to Indigenous lands and municipal governments or provincial governments or individuals themselves. So I think what I'm trying to say is that the inclusion of that terminology, those words, that in any of our documents is really a statement of belief and understanding that much went on before the town of Stony Plain was ever created. And it's meant to be, a bit of a guide that we have partners in our future and that we will work with them in ways that matter when those times arise. And that further than that, it then becomes a question of specifics, jurisdictions, legalities, and so on, and that's a pretty complex issue to speak to at this point in time.
Okay, Councilor Meyer, anything else to add to that?
Just some commentary. So I appreciate the CAO's commentary on that. I would generally agree with how he characterized this statement. Generally speaking, I think it goes, well, how do you say? Some of these things you just assume on face value, but like I say, sort of recent developments in the province to our west, I think we're learning that the things we say, people are starting to follow up on and actually say, what do those things mean? So in terms of referencing a treaty is like an agreement, and agreements have two parties, and agreements protect both parties. So like I said at the beginning, I don't think we need to change anything this evening. I maybe just raise it as a thing that the administration can consider, because we do use it in a number of planning documents.
Okay, thank you, and I appreciate you bringing that up there. And I think questions that I'll just kind of tie into this is, since we mentioned Treaty 6 peoples, we're also the Lake St. Anne Métis District 8. So my question then to add into that is that if we're going to recognize Treaty 6 peoples, should we not recognize also that we're also part of the Lake St. Anne Métis District 8? I don't know, just a thought we can. Okay, any more questions for clarity and understanding? Okay, see none, move over to Councilor Fletchko for the motion, please.
Yes, thank you, Worship. That Town Council approve the strategic plan 2026 to 2029.
Thank you, Councilor Fletchko. Members of Council, we had the opportunity to go away and have a conversation around the strategic plan. We had a little update, and then we have had the presentation from members from our staff. Any questions, comments, and debate on the motion? Okay, Councilor Fletchko, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for your attention to the Métis Association. It's been brought up at a number of boards that I sit on lately. And I'm just wondering if administration can speak to that as well, to why we do not include that in our land acknowledgement.
Thank you, Your Worship and rest of the Council. I can speak to that a bit, to what has been the past practice of the Town of Stony Plain and I would just say generally speaking. The land acknowledgements that are provided or, given, I'll say by the town of Stony Plain or sometimes in internal settings and meetings. So a couple of things that I believe I'll speak to. First and foremost, there is no, what I would consider to be, a standard format for what a land acknowledgement should or should not be. And I'll say standard format, and I'll just, as a quick reference, the flags that are behind you, there is a national standard as to how they're flown. They're, depending on how many flags and which way they're facing and so on, there's a standard for that. And there's a, any number of standards that organizations will adhere to. To the best of my knowledge, there isn't a standard or, Your Worship, I'll be speaking freely here somewhat, a requirement by law for land acknowledgement. So what that means is it's allowed to the group, the entity, the organization, the board, the so on and so forth to determine the manner in which they wish to acknowledge the peoples that have been before, have come before. So I'll put that out first, I guess, as some commentary. Secondly, what I would speak to, as the council is aware, most of council will be aware that we do have what I would say a support mechanism, an education provider that the town works with internally on a number of different things. But the advice that we've been given, the words are important, but they don't matter as much as the intent and the belief that's standing behind the words. So, Your Worship, and I guess I would just put this to council for consideration or perspective. We, as an organization, have always been, I would say, this might come out a little bit wrong, but on the lighter end of the words themselves. And that's why you'll see it's fairly straightforward and fairly specific. And as the mayor indicated earlier, speaks to, generally, Treaty 6 and traditional Indigenous lands. And again, I know that council has been in a room and other places where there will be a very extensive and lengthy land acknowledgement provided. And I'm not going to say that's good, bad, or otherwise. Stony Plain has typically and historically gone with the more shorter version. And what I would say is, try to live up to the values and the intent of that of those words, even if they are in a shorter manner. So, Your Worship, having said all that, again, big topic, lots to it. Certainly willing to, talk further or hear more or whatever you want to call it. But this has been our general past practice to have it as a narrower scope and applied in a narrower instances, if that makes sense. Not to to a degree that simple and specific can also demonstrate a clear intent and a belief in those words, as opposed to, Your Worship, and this is a bit of an editorial, putting a message out everywhere all the time can also dilute that message. And we have taken a more specific and simple approach to that land acknowledgement messaging. I'll stop there, Your Worship.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Patrick, anything else to follow up? Okay, so I'm just wanted to ask for a little bit of clarity then. So when we say Treaty 6 peoples, and when the treaty was signed, does that include the Métis people as well?
Sorry, Your Worship, I don't want to say, don't quote me directly, but I don't believe it does. That's Treaty 6 would be the original, agreement between, the Crown and the identified First Nations of the day that were in the, as I know Council's aware, vast territory for just vast geographic area for Treaty 6. Your Worship, and maybe of note too, the evolving nature of land rights and land acknowledgements and property rights and so on and so forth. What was considered something 10 or 15 years ago, frankly 25 years ago, is not what would be the same today and could simply be very different in 5 or 10 or 15 years from now.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions, comments, and debate on the motion? Okay. I don't have any questions, but thank you, administration, for the work. I think that that's a little conversation in terms of acknowledgements. I think I'm okay with the acknowledgements because I think the Treaty 6 agreement was signed before everything else, and I think that's where we mark that these are the traditional lands of the indigenous peoples that stepped before us, and then from there on, then that kind of grew from there. If that's a conversation that members of council can have at another time to make that adjustment. I think there is a point where we are trying to foster a better relationship with our indigenous neighbors, so maybe that was a conversation that we can have with them as well. Okay. Any more questions, comments, and debate on the motion? See none? Call the question. All those in favor? Okay. And that is carried. Right, we move on to 9.2, which is the post-election update. And administration, whenever you're ready.
Thank you. Through your worship to all of council. The report before council is a summary of the 2025 municipal and school board election. This evening's presentation will outline some of the key legislative changes, the results from the election, and the successful impacts to the community. In 2024 and 2025, the province introduced numerous revisions that impacted the Local Authorities Election Act, resulting in changes to the conduct of municipal elections across Alberta. This slide identifies key changes that impacted the voters and candidates in Stony Plain. 3 key changes directly impacted voters. The prohibition of automated voting equipment required the counting of votes by hand and that each race be printed on a separate ballot, which would result in voters having to complete multiple ballots at the voting location. Municipalities were required to establish a permanent electors register, identifying eligible voters who could receive a ballot to vote. This register was compiled using the Provincial Elector Register and requiring town voters to check if they were on the register or to be added to the register in order to vote in the election. This could be done in advance of the voting days or directly at the voting location. Municipalities were also able to offer expanded use of special ballots, which provided an opportunity for any eligible voter to cast their ballot without attending a voting location. 2 key changes impacted Stony Plain election candidates. Candidates were required to provide a notice of intent to run as a candidate in the election prior to accepting contributions or incurring campaign expenses. This was in addition to the requirement to file nomination papers. As well, candidates who received contributions to their campaign between January 1st and July 31st of the election year were required to file a preliminary campaign disclosure statement on or before September 30th. In 2025, the position of mayor and the 2 school board trustees were acclaimed, which resulted in electors only having to vote for the position of councillor, in which 6 positions were available. Voter turnout for the October 20th municipal election was 19.6% of the town's eligible voters. As only the position of councillor was subject to the election, only 1 ballot type was required to be cast by voters in Stony Plain. After the voting locations closed on election night, ballot counts were released throughout the election evening, with the final results being posted before 11:30 p.m., almost 2 hours later than the results that were released in 2021. A recount was conducted for candidates in the 6th and 7th place on October 23rd, confirming the original results of the election and validating the counting method used during the hand count process. Although the election expenses came in under the projected 2025 election budget, the significance of the legislative changes resulted in a substantial expenditure increase from the 2021 municipal election. We do anticipate the costs would have been greater if we had held elections for more than 1 race. And finally, all candidate campaign disclosure and financial statements have been filed in compliance with the legislation and are posted on the town's website. During the planning of the municipal election, key goals related to communication, accessibility, and voter experience was front of mind. Increased election information and enhanced communications were provided to candidates in 2025. A combination of candidate information sessions, one regional session held in March and a town-specific session held in June, along with an updated candidate guidebook, were used to inform potential candidates of the role of elected officials and the election process. Individuals who considered running for the election were invited to meet with the CAO to learn more about the administration of the town, and appointment-based meetings were held between the candidates and returning officers to allow for clear information sharing. To inform eligible town voters of the changes to the election, enhanced social and print media and signage were implemented. The website was updated to be more user-friendly with the inclusion of additional tools such as videos, info drop-downs and forms, and election staff attended community events throughout the summer to engage residents, provide election information, and ensure voters were on the permanent elector register. Institutional voting was established at 5 designated locations to allow seniors in assisted living facilities the ability to cast their vote. Special ballots were available for all eligible voters who are unable to attend a voting location. 5 advanced voting locations were offered on a combination of days and times, and 2 voting locations were offered on election day. All voting locations were accessible, and election workers were provided key information and assistance throughout the voting experience. I voted and future voter stickers were provided to voters to acknowledge their participation in the democratic process, and this continues to be a hit with voters of all ages. In addition, Stony Plain residents had the opportunity to apply to work in the election, and the majority of election positions were filled by external workers. Recognizing Council's key action under the strategic plan for involving youth as valued members of our community, youth aged 16 and 17 were invited to apply to work the election in 2025. We prioritized the placement of Stony Plain youth and filled 1 remaining position with a tri-region area applicant. The youth attended at least 1 training session, worked 1 advanced voting day, as well as on election day, and were invited to participate in a post-election worker survey. Feedback from the youth on their overall experience in the election was positive. Although the legislative changes provided some challenges throughout the election planning, the town was able to address the needs and implement applicable processes to ensure the overall success of the election. The next general municipal and school board elections are scheduled for 2029. Initial election planning will commence in early 2028. The election bylaw and procedures will be finalized throughout Q1 to Q3 of 2029, with the election itself occurring the 3rd Monday in October. That concludes the post-election update this evening, and we are available for questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the update, and definitely appreciate the work that our staff did to prepare for the election, especially being out with all the summer sessions and making sure that everybody was registered. Members of Council, any questions for clarity and understanding, please? Okay. Councillor Loynes, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. Not a question for clarity, just a comment to staff in regards to all the changes that were done by the province. I just want to give a shout out to our staff and all those volunteers and people that came forward to help in the election process. Even during the recount, it was a very seamless event, and it was great to see all the hard work that went through it. And we all came out at the end, and everybody survived. But thank you for all your hard work. I truly appreciate it.
Thank you for comments. Any other questions, comments? Councillor Anderson, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you for the presentation on this one this evening. Great to see the youth engagement side. I know youth has been a focus for us, and being able to engage them in meaningful employment, even for a short duration, helps build some resumes and gain some work skills experience, but I think goes beyond in terms of civic engagement as well, and building future voters. And I think that's one of my takeaways this evening when I look at a 19-point 0.6% turnout is disheartening, I would say, and certainly something that I think deserves our consideration in terms of how we can engage voters in the future. Now, I say that, and I know our staff have done a wonderful job. I know they were out at community events, very, very visible, very public, engaging around the elector registry and so on. But wonder if there's something, we can consider around that turnout, and if there are things that we can be doing to help increase that. And I know it's a very speculative sort of comment to make at this point, but we've got educator in the room tonight doing her part to engage future voters and trying to build that civic responsibility. And certainly those kiddos 7 or 8 years from now, I'm confident will exercise their right to participate in an election. But just a comment, it is a little bit disheartening to see the numbers, what they are. I do have one question, Mr. Mayor, and certainly the increased cost of 52%, as indicated, did not include a couple of school board ballots or a mayoral ballot. There was some conversation around referendum questions as a possibility. It sounds like that may happen in the fall now and may not be a part of the next election. But through you to staff, is there an opportunity here for us to have a meaningful conversation with our provincial partners around the added cost that the new guidelines for local elections have placed on municipalities?
Okay, administration.
Thank you, through your worship, to Councillor Anderson. I would say that the Association's Alberta Municipalities, as well as the Alberta Municipal Clerks Association, is actively advocating and having consultation with the provincial ministries about the changes and possible improvements or amendments that could be made prior to the next election. Obviously, any advocacy is always beneficial, but we are actively participating in those conversations as well.
Okay, thank you. And then we have Councillor Plechko.
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. I just want to start off by saying our staff at the town did a phenomenal job at putting this election together. Any questions that were raised were answered and directed very, very fast and efficiently. One of the things that I noticed on the street that I found was, when we talk about the lack of people within our community, which I think we were all disappointed with the 2,900 people that have come out for the 15 candidates that put their names forward. A big comment was that they were just lacking a mayor's race. And when there's no mayor's race, we've seen this happen in a number of communities where the people just don't get actively involved and come out to do that. So I heard a lot of that on the street, that if there had been a mayor's race, there'd be more interested. But I did also hear that, for the better part of our community, they were very pleased with how this council has moved the town forward over the last few years. And I think that says a lot to each and every one of us that was re-elected. But the other thing that was really unique was that, we all took part in walking the streets and learning what it was that our community wanted over and above what we were doing already. And I'm sure we all put on many, many miles, but when you look at the new strategic plan that we have in front of us, I believe we listened very well to the community, and I think the next 4 years you will see some changes in how we've done things in the past, and I think administration is already seeing the thought process that's up here that's a little different from the past as well. So, kudos to everybody that participated on your team. I don't think you could have truly done a better job, and I do believe you were ready for a full election. So you might not have had the results as quick as you did, but I think they were very efficient, and the recount did provide some very good confidence in how you did the job. So kudos to everybody at the town.
Okay, thank you for your comments, Councillor Plechko. Councillor Meyer.
Thank you, Your Worship, and I'm just going to piggyback off of my fellow councillors. So just echo Councillor Plechko's compliments there in running a successful election. But I wanted to pick up on Councillor Anderson's comments. Administration, in your presentation and in your response to him, you discussed that there are discussions being had with the province about potential improvements that can be had. And in your presentation, I heard you also, you mention a worker survey. I'm just curious, so those are all good things. I'm just curious if there was any outreach or feedback from unsuccessful candidates. Was there a survey circulated to them? I know also in your presentation, it was mentioned a number of candidate information sessions, which were very helpful. I'm just curious if there was any feedback from those as well. And if those color those other discussions we're having with the province.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you, through your worship, to Councillor Meyer. After both of the candidate information sessions, we did receive positive feedback. The first session was really targeted towards what does it take to be an elected official and what should you expect. And I think some people who attended that had expected it to be more town of Stony Plain specific and didn't realize it was as regional. But we did, educate them and inform them that we would be having, each municipality would be having a specific forum for their candidates. But for the most part, it was positive feedback. With respect to the election, we do not circulate a survey to outgoing candidates, but I will say that I did have a number of conversations with candidates as we prepared for financial statement requirements, and they all seemed very satisfied with the process. I did ask them questions about were there things that that they would have liked to have maybe been communicated better, and from what I heard directly was the candidates seemed to be satisfied. So. And to your last question, those are definitely comments we have put in. Alberta municipalities did have a survey that we completed with respect to our experience on the election, and some of that feedback was included in that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any more questions for clarity and understanding? Just one question. I'll just kind of piggyback on what Councillor Anderson had mentioned about that we did not have a kind of referendum questions that might have been on the ballot. So that therefore it also reduced our costs. But we just heard from the Premier that there will be 9 questions coming here this October. Is the municipality responsible for those costs, or is the province responsible for those costs?
Through your worship to all of council, the municipality will not be running that election, so they will not be responsible for those costs.
Okay, thank you for that clarity. Any more questions for clarity and understanding? Okay, see none. Councillor Meyer with the motion, please.
Yes, thank you. I make a motion that the town council accept the post-election update for information.
Okay, thank you. Members of council, any questions, comments, and debate on the motion? Okay. See none, so just on behalf of council and those candidates that ran and also our residents, thank you to our administration for running a very efficient and effective election campaign. I think the number is about 20%, which is between 20 and 30% is the average turnout for municipal elections, and 30 to 40 is the average for provincial, and then 40, hopefully to 60% is federal turnout, but that is the field that we play in, and sometimes it is disappointing to see that the turnout. However, as many of our candidates and the members of council, I too was on the campaign trail and going through doing my steps and engaging residents, and what I heard was what I echo what Councillor Pacheco said, that our residents were happy with what council was doing. And I think that is the reason why of the lower turnout. Because we've seen in other municipalities, even with a lower turnout as 20%, they did turn over the mayor and council with a 20% turnout. So it is not about the number of people that turned out, it is about the happiness and the trust that the residents have with the current elected official. So I heard a lot of that through the campaign, so thank you to members of council that were on council for the last couple of terms, and also then our administrative staff that has been able to drive those initiatives forward and make sure that our residents feel that they belong in the community, that they're safe, and that they're happy to call Stony Plain home. So thank you. Okay, with that, I'll call the question. All those in favor? That is carried. Okay. Moving on to agenda 9.3, which is the Citizens at Large appointment. I think there's 2 names there. Go ahead, administration, when you're ready.
Thank you, through your worship, through all of council. At the end of 2025, we had a vacancy on the Stony Plain Public Library Board, as well as the Culture and Tourism Roundtable, due to a resignation and a board changeover. Both boards have gone through a process, so the Stony Plain Public Library reviewed their applications that they had received in October, as they had some viable candidates, and selected a few for interviewed and selected one candidate. And the Culture Tourism Roundtable was the representative for the Greater Parkland Regional Chamber of Commerce, so they have put forward a name. Both appointees are being appointed for a 1-year term, and so we are asking council to appoint Mr. Paul Beefus to the Stony Plain Library Board and Mrs. Pat Hansard to the Culture and Tourism Roundtable.
Thank you very much. Members of council, any questions for clarity? Councilor Lowry, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm not sure if administration can answer this, but through you to administration, for the Greater Parkland Regional Chamber of Commerce position on the Culture and Tourism Roundtable. Previously, it was their executive director, who we understand is no longer with the Chamber of Commerce. I'm just wondering, is this a temporary appointment until such a time as they complete their recruitment process for a new director or a new chamber manager, executive director, or is the chamber intending to leave this person in place for the duration of the term?
Go ahead.
Your Worship, through to Deputy Mayor and all of council. So our understanding is that the appointment is to complete the term that has currently vacant, the 1-year term. The Chamber of Commerce will then put forward the name of the representative for the renewal at that point in time. So we're not anticipating anything at this point in time, but certainly we'll stay in communication with the chamber and the member that's been appointed, and if anything is required to be changed on their part, we would bring that forward for council approval. But our expectation is that this this individual will be standing for the remainder of the term.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
And just so for clarity on this, because this is a council committee, is the chamber themselves able to request a change in their member interim? So if we approve this tonight, say 2 or 3 months from now, they do hire a director, they wish that person to sit on this committee, would they be able to request that change, being that we've appointed this person now, or would we need to leave it vacant if they wished to make that change?
Okay, go ahead.
Your Worship, through to Deputy Mayor. My experience, I guess, has been that representative changes on the committees and boards, is certainly something that we are responsive to, and appreciate that, organizations, have turnover in their members or staff and things like that. And so we try to be amenable and accommodating to the needs of their organization. The important piece that we try to ensure is that we have a standing member for that organization on this roundtable, and that we want to ensure as much stability through the appointment of the term and the consistency of that. But we would certainly, work with the chamber and their representative and what they might need to ensure that they have that stability of representation for the term. So appreciate that may not answer your question specifically, but I think we've seen that we would be supportive to ensure that we have a good, consistent representative from the chamber on the roundtable, and have not had an issue, experienced an issue with that at this juncture.
Thank you. And so I'm just going to follow up on that a little bit more, because this is one of the boards and committees where we have kind of specific entities in which we request sittings. So we have the Potters Guild, we have the Public Library, we have the Red Brick Common, we have the Pioneer Museum, and the Greater Parkland Regional Chamber. And we require them to appoint specific members. If that specific member is not able to attend, my understanding is we don't have an alternate for those persons. And I'm curious if maybe it would be worthwhile, and maybe it's for the representative that sits on the Cultural and Tourism Roundtable, if there is a way that we would be able to amend, because as council, it's not really up to us to appoint who from the chamber would be attending or who from the Potters Guild would be attending. I would say if we are inviting them to the table at our committee, that we would want them to send whomever they chose. And so I'm just wondering if we need to have a specific named representative, or is it something that could be considered by the Cultural and Tourism Roundtable to hold a seat for that specific entity, but then allow that entity to, send whomever they wish to the meetings?
Okay, that's a good question. Can somebody refer to the bylaw, what that says?
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. Maybe a little bit, in perspective or a little bit further commentary. So, excuse me, first and foremost, council, by virtue of the bylaws, can appoint or unappoint, virtually any sitting member of any council committee. So, just for clarity, council has the right to do that, and even further to that, the right to do that, when and where they see fit. That would be what I would say the bottom line authority for council on appointments to committees. What traditionally, I would say, or historically, or just how do we go about it? So there are, as council is aware, some of the committees have, by virtue of, public appointees. People apply, they put their names in, there's interviews, so on and so forth. And then, and of course, on this particular one, there's people who are representing a group or an organization. Traditionally, historically, I would say, whoever they put forward, we administratively bring that into the chambers as the appointee. So I'll just stop there, Your Worship. That's just a couple clarifying, like a point of the bylaw, but also clarification and a point of practice.
Okay, so will this be similar to the appointments to the Assessment Review Board, where names are just sent to us and we as council just look at it and just ratify because we just need that as part of the bylaw process?
Thank you, through your worship, to all of council. So ultimately, it would be a similar process as tonight. We would bring a report forward for you to appoint that individual. Ultimately, because these are committees of council, council has the right to decide whether they appoint that individual or not, regardless of what name is put forward. So ultimately, the authority lies with council, and that's why it would come forward for council's, approval of that.
Okay, well, definitely some commentary around that and some conversation. We can definitely review that. I think this bylaw was approved in the end of 2024, so I can see it coming back this term, and if that members of council can keep their comment in front of their mind or back of their mind and pull it up when we talk about it, and we can kind of have that conversation at that point in time. Councilor Anderson?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just pulled up the bylaws for the Culture and Tourism Roundtable. Section 3.2A does stipulate that an appointed organizational member would attend or send an alternate. So it does indicate in their bylaws they could send an alternate there.
Thank you, appreciate that. And so then for clarification, Your Worship, through you to administration, if they're able to send an alternate that's not named and accepted or appointed by council, what's the requirement for council to be naming and accepting a representative if we've named and accepted the organization in practice?
Okay. Administration.
Thank you for the question, through your worship, to Councillor Laurie. So I would say that we contemplated that at times the organizations would have to send an alternate. However, through only appointing the member rep, that would be the voting member. The alternate would be there for information provision, but not there as a voting rep. That is something we could look at as a change to the bylaw in the future.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for clear understanding? Seeing none, we'll move on to Councillor Niebergall for the motion, please.
Thank you, Worship. I move that the Town Council appoint Paul Beefus to the Stony Plain Library Board and Pat Hansard to the Culture and Tourism Roundtable.
Okay, thank you very much. Members of council, any questions, comments, and debate on the motion, please? Okay, see none, thank you, administration, for bringing this forward. I do appreciate the fact this is just filling out the remainder of terms for a couple of board members, and hence the expiry at the end of this year, and then we can kind of revisit some of the appointees later through a more thorough process. So definitely appreciate that. I'll call the question. All in favor? Okay. That's carried. Okay, so moving on to number 10 of our agenda. So number 10 is council discussion. So this is the time that members of council can update and highlight a few things that are happening on their boards and committee and commissions, and also bring back issues that they've heard from members of our residents and stakeholders. Councilor Niebergall.
Thank you, Worship. I think I will first just offer my thanks to administration for the work that they did on our strategic plan. That has been a process for me from start to finish that I couldn't really comment on until I got to see the finished product. And so just stayed the course and trusted the process, I guess. And so I really appreciate the work that went into that, and to see some of the feedback that we had given as council, to see our fingerprints on it, and kind of the humble acknowledgement that we are doing work. We know that there's work that still needs to be done, but much to be celebrated and much to look forward to. So thank you, administration, for that work. I got to attend my first State of the Region, which was a lot of fun. So just for those that are unaware, the three municipalities do a little video to showcase what they were celebrating from 2025 and what they are most looking forward to in 2026. I would say Stony Plain definitely had the most fun with their video. I got many compliments that evening. And also just shout out to the Chamber. In the midst of some changes, turmoil, I guess, however we want to say that, they did execute a really incredible event that evening. The room, there was like great energy in there, and a mix of people from all municipalities. It was really great. I will just give another little shameless plug to the Pioneer Museum. So tonight is their last speaker series. It is the historian Catherine Cole. So that's 7 o'clock tonight at the Pioneer Museum, if you'd like to take that in. And then, of course, the tribute to Buddy Holly and Johnny Cash concert in April. Get your tickets. I think they're pushing upwards of 100 tickets sold. So looking forward to that. And then I did get to stand in for Councillor Loynes at the Cultural Roundtable. And so just a couple of things to note from there. That there's a call for Indigenous artists to replace the Youth Center mural. And so that's closed on April 2nd. They are working on a potter's mural. They are also, I guess this is us as the town, we are looking for vendors for summer session, and summer sessions and Thursdays. That's live as well on our website. Tourism Week to be celebrated is April 20th to 24th. And then the marketing for the summer sessions comes out on the end of the month. I think that's about it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Niebergall. Councillor Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a couple of notes of gratitude, but I will start. 'Tis the season for potholes, and I know this is going to come up regularly. So really quickly, a plug, report a concern on the town's website. It's a great way to get that information to staff. You can put in your contact information if you're interested in a call back. With that being said, I did take a couple of calls on 44th Ave, Jutland sort of Crescent, Sun Meadows Close intersection there. There's a number of potholes that could use a little bit of attention. So don't need a reply from administration. I know they're on it, but just we know it's the season, and we'll continue to send those into our Public Works Department. Couple notes of gratitude, and I apologize, it's a little bit on the longer side this evening, but we have a phenomenal utilities department, and we don't always necessarily, I guess, appreciate them until we really need them. And we know they're out and about and they're checking utilities and measuring water usage and all of these things. But about a month ago, I got a call from the town preemptively just to say, hey, we noticed that your usage has increased, and we just wanted to let you know that there may be something more going on. If you know that you've used water, that is what it is. But also provided some helpful tips and tricks and strategies to check different facilities and so on in the house to make sure everything was above board. And so really appreciated that call. And then about 2 weeks later, I got another call that said, the meter reader called us and told us to call you right away. And we actually had a faucet with a crack that was leaking water all over the place outside, and ended up with a bit of a skating rink. But we were able to, because of the timeliness of the call from the utilities team, able to make sure that got taken care of, shut off, and cleaned up as quickly as possible. And so, they're not just there collecting bills and so on, but very proactive in their approach. And I can only imagine the time it takes, but the commitment there to ensure that as residents were informed of what's going on with our utilities. And so I think I sent that in as an email to our town manager, our CAO, but wanted to make sure we publicly acknowledge our utilities staff as well for the work that they do. The second one this evening, I had the privilege of attending the Kin Canada Zone G Spring Conference this last weekend. And I know we have a tremendous relationship with the Kinsman Club of Stony Plain. This was 8 regional groups get together a couple of times a year. This just happened to be Stony Plain's turn to host, and had the privilege of adjudicating, if you will, a speech competition. And the speeches really were all around kindness and gratitude, which I felt was so fitting for those clubs and the work that they do in our community. And so had some great conversations with kin members, not just locally, but from those other clubs as well. And one of the reasons I bring this up is sort of to extend gratitude to our staff team for the work that goes into partnering with them. I know Farmers Days is a big undertaking, and there's a tremendous partnership there between the Kinsmen and the town. Certainly their hamper program, they were in here a couple of weeks ago to share the results of the work that went on with the hamper program this year, and a tremendous part of our community. What I really came to appreciate, though, was that not everyone has that same experience. And I think that goes to our staff team, to members of council, both past and present, that have been willing to advocate for, connect with, partner with, look for opportunities and so on to further the work. Ultimately, our goal is the same as the Kinsmen, that we want to live in a community that is thriving, where people feel connected and supported, and there's so many opportunities and synergies that exist there. And so tremendous amount of gratitude to council, again, both past and present, and our staff that actively engage with the Kinsman Club on a regular basis. And so just a tremendous amount of gratitude this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Anderson. Councillor Meyer.
Well, I'll keep mine very brief. So upcoming this next week, Wednesday, CRPWSC, Capital Region Parkland Water Servicing Commission. One of our favorite boards, very exciting on that one. Actually, just an update for council. I am now the chair of that, and we're looking forward to, they'll be doing a review of the master plan this next year, so that's coming down the pipes. Otherwise, looking forward to Thursday and Friday going to Alberta Munis in the city for the Spring Caucus, and hope to represent Stony Plain well there.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Meyer. Councillor Pletchko.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just a couple of things this evening. For Community Protective Services, have had a few calls regarding the pickleball courts that are over by the pool. Lots of interest. As we know, the pickleball courts have closed in St. Albert, and there's some angst amongst many people with our region getting some pickleball stuff up and running. I'm just wondering if you could give us a bit of an update of the pickleball situation there. I see there's a fence all the way around it and posts in. Did they get the proper grounding down last fall?
Go ahead.
Certainly, Your Worship, through to Councillor Pletchko. Definitely the weather just didn't enable, the ambient temperature needs to be a certain temperature for them to put the top coat on. So basically that will happen this spring, as soon as the weather starts to get to a point where it sustains itself over the, good during the day, but at night if it goes down too hard, then we're not going to get that cure time. So we certainly need that ambient temperature throughout a duration of time. So you'll see that happening in April. Usually we get that decent weather next 2 to 3 weeks, and Tomco will be out to start doing that work as it's scheduled. So we do have that work scheduled. We should be playing on that fairly quickly in the spring here.
Thank you. Just one more thing, if I could. Go ahead. Lots of, I won't say complaints, but lots of comments on our speeding within our community. Seems to be the spring race car event, I'll call it, for a lack of better terms, within the whole community. Lots of complaints along 779, 628, golf course, veterans, and then several of the school divisions. I've heard lots of complaints for it. And then coming with that comment, I've also had the comment, when would we see a 40-kilometer-an-hour speed zone within the Stony Plain town limits?
Through your worship to Councillor Pletchko. Thank you for the question. We're currently planning to have the item for the 40-kilometer-hour to council pretty shortly, within the next, by the end of April, it'll be in front of council to see the next steps. We're currently just finishing up the final details. Just to, I guess, add some additional comment to that, it's not just the changes to the 40-kilometer, there's a number of sign changes and awareness we have to make to the community. There's also implications with enforcement and the communication out to the community as to how the changes get implemented. So those are those are details we're just finalizing right now, but council will be seeing that shortly.
Thank you for the updates.
Thank you. You're done. Councillor Loynes.
Thank you, Your Worship. A couple things for me tonight. I just wanted to mention that the indoor walking at Heritage Park will be coming to an end this week. The last day will be March 26th. So I wanted to thank all the staff who made it possible for our residents. With this ending, that means that hopefully we'll have nicer weather sooner and that people can enjoy being outside and doing their walk. Saturday was actually National Down Syndrome Awareness Day, and today, students across our region got to wear funky or mismatching socks to remind others that the differences can be beautiful. My children all enjoyed wearing mismatching socks. It's a little bit of an anxiety thing for me, but hey, fun socks is always a good thing. As well as on Saturday, along with Councillor Meyer and Councillor Laurie, we were able to attend the annual fundraiser for the Irwin J. Stoke Navy League and the 299 Royal Canadian Sea Cadet Corps Mackenzie. I want to thank both of them for attending with me, as my sons both attend these programs, and it's great to see that they are including us more and more in their events, and I wanted to thank all their volunteers for their hard work. Another mention that spring break is going to be starting up soon, so for our residents to be more aware about the children that will be in and around the community, hopefully enjoying some nice weather. And our annual Easter egg hunt will be taking place on Saturday, April 4th. So happy Easter, because we will not meet until after. And that is all.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Loynes. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Your Worship. Yeah, a couple things. In addition to potholes, also with the changing in the weather, we've had quite a bit of mud on the roads around developments. So if we can just keep on top of that, I think they've been doing a pretty good job of it. But yeah, obviously, all it takes is one to stop doing it, and it builds up pretty quick. So forget that. Question in regards to our recreation center, based on some of the news that came out this past week with the Lewis Farms Recreation Center in the city of Edmonton. Obviously some significant concerns there around budget and timeline. There were comments thrown around about looking for funding from regional partners or charging non-Edmontonian residents higher fees. I'm wondering in relation to our recreation center if we have any type of an update in regards to our on time and on budget.
Okay, go ahead, Administration.
Your Worship, through the Deputy Mayor, certainly I am not aware of any major concerns with the project. It seems to be ticking along very well. Most of the product that we need for the construction of that particular project is either on site or very close to being on site. We have experienced some change orders, I would say probably in alignment with a project of that magnitude. But at this point, we're on budget. At this point, we're on schedule. There's nothing that's been provided to me. They meet every 2 weeks, the construction crew and all the engineers. And I'll knock on wood right now that things continue as they have. But certainly, our project has been operated well, ran well by the general contractor, which is GenCall Construction. And certainly, they're very responsive to things that happen. And they're a solution-based company that usually has a couple options for us if there's something that we do have to make a decision on.
Excellent, appreciate that. And yeah, when you drive past, you see the substantive changes almost daily. So it'll almost be sad once it's fully wrapped in, because then we won't see what's going on the inside as often. But it's great to see that project moving along as quickly as it is, and even better to hear that as far as we're aware, everything is on time and on budget. Maybe the city needs some of our advice, I'm not sure.
Your Worship, Councillor Laurie, just quickly, Your Worship, I think we're scheduled for a next formal update in the chambers on May 4th.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you. With that, the only other thing that I have, as most others have been mentioned, is just a reminder to council that our Arrow Utilities Wastewater has put out invitation for all members of the 13 municipal owners of that entity to attend what they are calling wastewater school. It's a great opportunity to familiarize yourself with our wastewater treatment plant, which many residents would probably be very surprised at how far away from us it truly is and how far that has to travel in order to get there. So it's a good opportunity to go learn about the system, as well as the oncoming Train 4 project that has been worked on in order to help increase the capacity in the facility for development to come in the region. That invitation went out, I believe, about 2 or 3 weeks ago. We have one member of council currently registered, so I would encourage others, if they have the opportunity. I believe there's 5 sessions, including evening sessions, so they've done a really good job at making sure that there's opportunity for everyone to have the chance to attend. So highly encourage you to register for that. And that's all for me this evening.
Okay, thank you. Definitely appreciated the Arrow Utilities sending it out, because I think many members of council do not have the opportunity to understand and kind of witness all the work that goes into the wastewater side of our communities. Okay. And then for me, I think just the Alberta Municipality Spring Caucus is this week as well. I think if we have a few members of council attending, and for those that are here and that are watching later on, the Spring Leaders Caucus allows us the opportunity as members of council to network with our colleagues, and we also have some conversations in terms that are policies that do affect municipalities. I think one of the biggest things that we heard is some of the budget dollars were announced as a new provincial funding model comes around April 1st. They do affect municipalities quite a bit in terms of the changes into the regulations that they do have. So having those conversations with the elected officials and our association allows us to better equip ourselves to kind of share that experience and knowledge, and how do we disseminate that information to our residents. Because sometimes I think perception is reality, so a lot of times our residents have a perception of things that may not be reality, and it's good for us to stay educated and understand what's happening so that we can actually provide that, correct that misinformation so they do have the real facts that matches reality. And last thing I just wanted to mention again, just thank you to the Chamber of Commerce for hosting a great State of the Region. Definitely, as they're going through a little transition, the State of the Region was seamless. I don't think you would notice that if there was any transition or not, so that was kudos to the team there. And also, just thank all the regional mayors that showed up to support the Tri-Region. I think I've been doing these events for quite a few years now, and I believe this was the one State of the Region that we had about 8 regional mayors that was in attendance. So again, kudos just to our conversation and to the strength that we have in this metro region around us. Because I think we are always stronger when we work together, and it's having those other elected officials come out, listen to what we're doing here, so that they can take that back to the communities, and then we do the same thing as we attend different state of the regions and addresses from the other communities, so that we can learn and then bring those things back as well. My last point is that, just as mentioned by Councillor Loyens, is on April 4th is the annual Easter hunt. Our staff go above and beyond to make sure that there's tons of eggs and treasures out there for our youth and our residents to find them. But I just want to also thank the parents that take the children out. I've spoken to many parents because they want to make sure it's enjoyable for everybody. They've always taken another bag of eggs and treats along with them. So as their child was taking something out, they were dropping something back in there to make sure that every individual that took the time to go out had the opportunity to find something. Because I know it's about bonding and having fun, but it's also rewarding, especially if you're a youth and a child looking for those Easter eggs. It's nice when you find something. So a big shout out to our residents, and especially those parents that do take that little extra effort to make sure that it's enjoyable for everybody. Okay. With that, that ends my council discussion. Moving on to number 11 is closed meeting. We have nothing scheduled tonight, so we don't have to recess for that. So number 12 is adjournment. So we are done. With that, thank you, administration, for your work, and especially kind of pulling all the threads together and weaving a beautiful fabric that is now our strategic plan for the next year. Definitely looking forward to see some of those results being reported on through the quarterly and annual reports, so that we can actually then be held accountable to our residents when we go show them this is what we've done. So thank you for that. With that, we are adjourned. Have a good night.